and welcome to Chapter 3, Mistaken Behavior. This is probably one of the most critical chapters in our textbook. It really takes us away from your traditional way of looking at misbehavior and renaming it and rephrasing it and rethinking about it as mistaken behavior. You'll see on these first couple slides that these are some of the key skills and some of the important things that I hope that you'll learn and understand as we're looking at this chapter. Now, why, you might ask, is even the terminology important? What difference does it make if you call it misbehavior or mistaken behavior? Well, first of all, misbehavior implies that the child is trying to do something wrong and they are inviting labeling. Think about all the times in your life when you've done something wrong and someone pointed it out. Children have a tendency just to internalize those negative labels and those hurtful things and then act it out. If we continually tell kids, you're lazy or you're not smart, they will live up to those things. Now, in other classes, we refer to that as self-fulfilling prophecy, but it works the exact same way when you're thinking about child guidance. Children tend to act exactly how you call it. So the terminology is vital. Now, when we're looking at mistaken behavior, you want to think about what they're learning. The reason they're mistakes is because children think it will get them what they are desiring to learn or desiring to do. But in the meantime, they make a mistake. They do it wrong, they do it incorrectly, and they learn from that. That's probably the biggest key in this chapter, is just helping children to understand that the things that they do and that the way that they behave sometimes truly are mistakes. Now, when we experience conflict in the classroom, it's usually because children don't have the understanding, either cognitively, which refers to their brain, or emotionally, they just can't handle it. Think of the 2-year-olds you know. Think of all the times you've seen a 2-year-old lay on the floor and kick and scream to get what they're wanting. And as adults, sometimes we say, well, don't give in. Don't give them what they want. And absolutely, you're correct. You shouldn't give in. But you should also think to yourself, what is it this 2-year-old needs? What is it that they think this behavior is going to get them? That is where we get the mistaken behavior. The 2-year-old mistakenly thinks that by laying on the floor, kicking and screaming, that they'll get what they want or what they need, which very well may be exactly what they do need. Think about it about 6 o'clock at night, and your 2-year-old is kicking and screaming on the floor. What does your 2-year-old most likely need? Dinner, or maybe a nap, or maybe an early bedtime, or a bath. It's hard for them, though, at 2 to say, hey, Mom, I need a bath. Or, hey, Mom, I'm starving. Do you have any idea what kind of way my day has gone? I'm absolutely starving. And so instead, what you see is laying on the floor, kicking and screaming, mistaken behavior. It's a mistake because they can't handle it and they cognitively don't know how to ask for what they need. Now, lastly, you want to think about it as this is a time that we help kids learn. It's corrected through teaching, not punishing. Now, punishment is a system based on fear, and it's based on if you did this, then I'll do this, and you won't like it. That is a system based on fear, which is not what we're talking about this semester. This semester, we're talking about teaching through guidance, through love and respect, and how to learn through what we should be doing. All of these things happen in relational patterns. Here are some ways we want to think about it. As the encounterer, the child is concerned with maintaining their wholeness, their initiative. Sometimes when children have mistaken behavior, they're trying to get what they need, and it's something very personal. As you think about your role as the adjuster, you think about that the child's concerned with learning what's expected by others, and then they produce that behavior. Now, the adjuster role would be, for example, in a preschool classroom. A child watches another child get what they want by saying please, and the next thing you know, the other preschooler walks up and says, please, Miss Joellen, could I have a piece of paper? They've adjusted their behavior by watching other children to get what they need. That's adjusting. In survivor mode, though, a child is just interested, get me through this day, get me through this space, and get me what I need. If I have to kick and scream to get you to pay attention, I'll do that. That is survivor mode. Survivor mode is not the mode we want children to live in. Certainly, there are times and places where children need to act in a survivor mode, but it's not a day-to-day experience. Look at the picture in the top right-hand corner of this slide. Look at the parent. Look at her frustration. Look at her concern. Look at the kids. They look unhappy. They look like they're surviving, just trying to get through the moment. And she's thinking to herself, what can I do? What is going on? Well, here's what we do to help to figure out how to help kids, how to help ourselves, and how to help our classroom. If you've been reading your textbook, which of course I hope that you have, you've read about Harlow and his 3 levels of mistaken behavior. The first level is experimentation. Experimentation means a child unintentionally causes a conflict. Unexpectedly, it gets out of hand. For example, we're walking down the hallway and I elbow my neighbor. It's fun. It's even funny. She laughs. She elbows me back. This time, elbow a little harder and she falls down. Now she's crying and hurt and I'm in trouble. Was it on purpose? Was it misbehavior? Or was it mistaken behavior? Absolutely. It was mistaken behavior. It was level 1. It was an experiment. I was just trying it out. We were having fun and it went wrong. Level 2 of this is also curiosity. Sometimes in level 1 experimentation, a child unintentionally causes conflict, but they do it somewhat intentionally just to see what will happen. An example I often use is with my daughter and contacts. One year I got a pair of new contacts and I started to notice that some of my contacts had gone missing. I looked and couldn't find them. Eventually I did find them. They were in my daughter's bedroom. She carefully laid them out in the package, and then she'd open the package and place the contacts on her dresser. Well, of course, a week later, they were dried out. Now, when I went to ask her about this, of course I wasn't happy. My contacts were gone, and they were expensive. But I had to ask her why. Why did you do this? She was doing level 1 mistaken behavior experimentation. And here's what she told me. Mom, I wanted to see what would happen when they dried out. She was aware that at the end of every couple weeks I would throw them away. But she never asked me what happens to them when you throw them away. Now, had she asked, I certainly could have shown her. But instead she took it upon herself in her curiosity to find out what happened. Level 1 mistaken behavior, curiosity. Was I unhappy? Yes. Was she in trouble? Well, I wasn't thrilled, but we did talk about it. But did it need harsh consequences? No. It was the only time she'd ever done it, and still is. And she was quite young, and she truly had good intentions, a scientific mind, but certainly it was not to cause harm. Now, level 2 is a little bit different. Level 2 by Harlow is considered to be socially influenced. According to this, these are behaviors that have been learned. They've watched other people, other adults, siblings, friends, take part in behaviors that maybe were good, but maybe it went wrong in a different way. Sometimes we also see superhero play in this format as well. For example, we're out on the playground and a child jumps from the top of the slide area down to the bottom yelling, "Geronimo!" Well, of course, the child has probably seen it somewhere before. Perhaps it was with their brother when they were outside playing yesterday, or on a TV show, or maybe a superhero from television or a game. The point is, it's a learned behavior from something else. Now, is it mistaken behavior? Are they in trouble? Well, perhaps, if it was against the rules, or the guidelines as better put, and according to our textbook, and we'll learn about that later. But if it was against your guidelines, that children are not supposed to jump from the top of the tower on the slide, then yes, it is mistaken behavior. It's level 2. It's socially influenced. They learned it somewhere. Sometimes our job as teachers is to figure out where and to explain why it's not a good suggestion or to redirect that mistaken behavior. Level 3. Level 3 is considered to be strong needs. This is the strongest and probably the most important for you to understand as a teacher when you see it. This means that a child is very vulnerable. Perhaps there was prenatal alcohol or drug exposure. Perhaps there were other complications during surgery. Perhaps a child is going through a very difficult time at home. Whatever it is, the child has a very strong need to get what they want or what they need. And the mistake is they use their behavior, usually in a very strong way, to get it. Perhaps it's attention. You can be sure that if a 4-year-old stands up in the middle of story time, throws their chair across the room while screaming, they're going to get your attention. That would be considered strong needs. They have a strong need for your attention at that time. Perhaps it's more subtle as well. For example, maybe you have a child in your class who lies. Maybe they tell stories or they tell other untruths on a regular basis. And this kind of behavior is based on a strong need. Perhaps at home, no one listens to them. No one talks to them. But at school, when they do these things, children are interested. Children are curious. Teachers pay attention. They have a strong need to get something. And the mistake is they use that behavior in an incorrect way to get whatever it is they're looking for. Now our job in this next part of the chapter will be to begin to understand mistaken behavior. In the next clip, I will begin to talk about how we begin to understand mistaken behavior and look at it in the classroom. I look forward to seeing you in the next clip.